This email proves once again that this show can tackle any subject. We have a long history of debating some of life's great questions and formulating, coming to answers, arguments, things like that, and we're going to do it again here.
You could say we're master debaters.
You could say that, but we have to prove it. You can't just say it. You have to continue to prove it. So we're going to give
saying master debaters.
That's fine. That's fine. You can say master debater all you want, but you have to be a master debater for the next 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Dang.
It's the opening segment, kids. It's always 20 minutes.
That's easy.
My God, this is not new. This has been the formula for 5-6 years or so. It's from Julia, the email.
Hey, Julia.
Very important question came in yesterday. Now, please do not blurt out answers, as I'm going to read the premise of the question, and then we're going to lay down the rules for the master debating session.
Rules!
Yes, Dawn, without rules, you have today's society.
Isn't that the truth?
First rule of master debating, keep your hands to yourself.
That's the only rule to master debating. Julia says, "Hi, Rob. Can you please settle a silly debate for me?"
Oh man, this is fun.
There are no silly debates. There are only silly people. My boyfriend asked me yesterday, if you have 2 lasagnas.
Oh no, is this a math question?
And a train is leaving from Sacramento at 80 miles per hour.
You see, kids, this is why this show has been number 1 for 21 years. Because of me. Because the point of that pause was to give everyone a moment to absorb the gravity of the debate. See, I say, my boyfriend asked me yesterday, if you have 2 lasagnas. Now, normal, well-adjusted people went, oh, for God's sakes, this is stupid. Not Dawn.
No.
Dawn immediately said, oh, damn, word math problem.
God, I hated those.
It's not. It's not.
Thank God.
We're not taking 2 trains.
Billy ate a third, and they got on the train, and there were 10 people, and they each took a bite. How much lasagna's left? I don't know. Oh, we didn't start out to say how much lasagna, the size of the pan.
Right. It's
blah, blah, blah.
I was actually trying to figure that one out. It's a third of a what?
And what's the altitude that you bake the lasagna at?
It's a 9x13 pan of lasagna.
Mm-hmm. And Billy took a third?
Billy took a third, and then he got on the train. There were 10 people, and they each took a bite. How much is left?
How big's their bite?
Oh, crap. Tablespoon.
Then you just have to give me what 10 tablespoons is 3 tablespoons is 5, 4 tablespoons is a cup, right? 4 tablespoons is a quarter of a cup, and then 4 times it's a cup and 2.5 cups. Then you got to be able to work out your work, but you can give an answer to that.
Do you know what else though?
You can give an answer to that.
The other thing that was incomplete in the presenter, is I said a 9x13 pan, but no, I think in the word questions back in our day, they probably would have said how many slices of lasagna were in the pan.
Yeah, the difference is you view it through today's modern prism, because in our day, we didn't have the internet. Because you can go to the internet and you can find out how many average slices of lasagna come in a 9x13 pan.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you can deduce down to figure out the and plus the key to word problems is ignoring the unimportant part. The train is not important.
No, it is not.
And how fast it's traveling.
But it gets you.
You have to get rid of those things. That's not what we're doing here. So far, by the way, not master debaters at all. Not at all. Just some in-show feedback for you.
So why are there 2 lasagnas?
Shut up and I'll read the question. My boyfriend asked me yesterday, if you have 2 lasagnas and you stacked one on top of the other, do you then have one big lasagna, or do you have 2 separate lasagnas? Now, I have taken the time to read the arguments of each person. Therefore, I will play devil's advocate regardless of which direction you go. Okay. So to avoid gender bias, which we know exists with one particular member of the show.
Jeez, Brand.
Hey.
So, you have 2 separate lasagnas. You put them on top of each other. Do you now have one big lasagna? Or do you still have 2 separate lasagnas? Dawn sounds like she has an initial thought.
If they're each in an individual pan, which I don't know why they wouldn't be, that's how you cook them, in a pan. Then
you remove them from the pan and stack them on top of each other. And now do you have one big lasagna or 2 separate lasagnas?
Well, shoot, that changes it for me. And the reason
you're not going to serve lasagna pan on pan.
Hey, it's a man that asked it. Sometimes they're dumb.
Actually, it's not. It's Julia wrote it and said, my boyfriend asked me.
He asked I said he's the one that asked, and a man sometimes.
Really?
Not all men cook like you do and Brandon.
Really?
And they, and I could see a dude like, oh, put the pan on top of the pan. Is it one lasagna or two now?
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you.
Fair enough.
So now that I
the
know
lasagnas are removed from
right.
their pans. I know this from their debating points later on in the email, and they're stacked on top of one another.
So that now changes it for me, and here's why. Because now they're out, and now I'm thinking of baking. When you have a 3-layer cake, it's a 3-layer cake. They're on top of each other, and there's the frosting, just like you have the sauce and the cheese, and it's a 3-layer cake. It's not 3 individual cakes. It's the one 3-layer cake. So this is now this is a 2-layer lasagna.
The way that I see it is the lasagnas are separate dishes when they're baked separately. Just like hamburgers are made separately. You make one hamburger, like I'm ordering a hamburger from McDonald's, but I want 2 hamburgers. So I order 2 hamburgers, but then I put one on top of the other. Therefore, I still have 2 hamburgers, and I just put them on top of each other. So I see it as still 2 lasagnas. They're just stacked on top of each other.
Is 2 hamburgers a double patty hamburger? Is that a hamburger, or is that 2 hamburgers?
It's all in the way that it's built. If it's 2 patties put in between the 2 buns, like in the construction process, then it's 1 burger. But if you take 2 separate burgers, like the 2 lasagnas in this letter, and stack them on top of each other, then you have 2 items just stacked on top of each other.
So you're eating 2 burgers.
Yes.
And so you're eating 2 servings or 2 lasagnas, 2 different lasagnas.
Yes, all in one bite.
Well, you cook cakes in separate pans too.
Not gonna get off this cake thing,
I'm
are
not,
you?
because when you're layering things, it now becomes one. If somebody were to stack a burger, now we're getting into, are we doing the hamburger or we're including the buns? Because with lasagna, it's all cohesive. The lasagna does. You can eat a patty without the buns. You can eat buns without the patty. Lasagna, it's all cohesive. If you just have noodles, it's no longer anything. I mean, it's just noodles. You got to have it all together to make it a lasagna.
Could I suggest here's the difference between both examples?
Okay.
That leans maybe perhaps more towards Brandon's decision that it's 2 separate things.
Yeah.
Both your cake layer example and Brandon's hamburger patty example, those are identical in terms of consistency. Whereas a finished lasagna has the crunchy top.
Yep.
And so when you put a crunchy top lasagna and then you put another one on top of it, do we now have, in fact, 2 separate dishes? Whereas in your example, it would have to be like some type of different, like something in the middle of the cake.
I'm going back to the cake. The frosting's the frosting.
See
you're equating the frosting to the
cheese.
the cheesy, the crunchy cheesy
and that
top.
cheese is just the cheese and the lasagna. It's not a crunchy top per se. It's just the last layer that's melted.
Then you're not making lasagna right if it's not crunchy.
Melted. Well, you know what I mean.
We'll have to debate that later.
Okay, well, the edges do get crusty. Yes,
the top should be brown and should almost hurt your teeth when you bite it.
It is different than the next. Yes. Okay, I will give you that, but it's not crunchy. It's not like the cheese is hard.
By the way, some of these arguments I'm making are not part of the email, just to be fair.
The noodles still, right, it's not like the whole top layer is now like a potato chip. All right.
Phone number is 888-989-9811.
See, the way I see the cake example is if you're baking the layers of cakes, that's the equivalent to cooking up the hamburger patties, and it's used to construct a cake. So it's just like in the lasagna where you cook the noodles and then you lay them out and then you do the sauce and then you lay the noodle out and you lay the sauce. You're constructing one food item using those pieces.
Right.
And so it's all constructed. We're deconstructing things so that we can extrapolate what one food item is.
If you served your one food item, Brandon, would you say, here are my 2 lasagnas?
If I were to stack 2 of them on top of each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can have a 1-layer cake. I can make a 1-layer cake, frost it, and then decide I want to make it a 3-layer cake. And now it's a 3-layer cake. It's not, or a 2-layer cake. It's now not a cake on top of a cake. I'm not going to say here's 2 different cakes. I'm going to say here's a 2-layer cake.
This is easy. The 2-layer cake is just like the double burger, or a 3-layer cake is just like a triple burger. It's all one item, but you're using 3 layers of cake to make one cake.
But right, exactly. And so is the lasagna.
No, because
once you stack it, it's no longer it's a double burger. You're 2 different hamburgers that they're to me not the same as the lasagna.
So wait, I'm hung up on this item thing. So I want to go back to the question that I asked you, Brandon. So you are gonna if you're stacking two separate lasagnas that you made on top of one another, and you serve them, you are gonna say, "Here's my two lasagnas," right?
Yes, I mean, I would say this is the double lasagna. There's one lasagna on top of the other.
Because
right, it's a double lasagna. It's not two lasagnas.
You have one item, but it's two lasagnas, or is it two items that you're serving on top of each other?
Two items that you're serving on top of each other.
And so that's why you're saying, here are my two lasagnas, not my double lasagna.
Correct.
Here are my two lasagnas.
It's a double lasagna. They're two lasagnas stacked on top of each other. So here's your double lasagna. Not your two. They're not separate. They're now cohesive. They're stacked on top of each other. When you're cuddling with somebody, you're now cuddling. You're together. You're not. Now we break apart. They're now together.
What if you're cuddling two people?
Oh, well.
And you're in the middle.
Now you got a triple lasagna.
Are you envisioning, Brandon, that your lasagnas are identical? Or is one a sausage lasagna and one's a ground beef lasagna, or whatever the hell you want to do?
No, I think it's all in the preparation. If you are preparing one lasagna and a separate lasagna, one's beef and one's turkey, whatever, turkey sausage.
Turkey lasagna.
Then they're still two items stacked on top of each other. They're separate.
But they're together now.
Phone numbers,
You've made them together.
888-989-9811. Hi, Cassandra.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
So, what I'm thinking is, like Brandon said, when you put two burgers on top of each other, you don't call them two cheeseburgers, you call it a double cheeseburger. Well, with the lasagna instance, it's already made out of layers. So what I'm thinking is when you cut a piece, you're getting both of them in one bite. So technically it would be one lasagna at that point.
So isn't that what Dawn's saying?
Well,
it's a multi-layered, it's a double-layered lasagna, basically.
Me personally,
but it's one lasagna.
Yeah, me personally, I'm not. The hamburger scenario for me doesn't work. Because that would never work. You cannot take a full hamburger, put another full hamburger on top of that, and take a bite. Whereas layers of lasagna, you can. You can stack a layer. You can have a thing of a lasagna, put another one on top of it, cut right through it, eat it, no problem.
How big is your mouth if you can take a bite of two lasagnas at once?
No, but you don't.
I'm not Garfield.
You're not doing that. You're cutting it. What I'm saying is you could slice it, put it on the plate, and eat it. Whereas the burgers, you can't. They're so different. That's not sitting with me.
Lots of emails coming in. I have not pre-read these. Let's see what we got here. First one's from Brett.
Hey, Brett.
Says it's one item unless it's separated by a dish, which it's not in our scenario.
See, they've come together and we're trying to make them separate while they're on top of each other. Poor lasagnas.
David says Brandon is right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When you bake layers of cake, you still have to construct it with the frostings and toppings. When you bake lasagna, it's already fully constructed before it's cooked.
Huh? That's stupid. The cake is not fully constructed. So you bake them individually.
Here's what he's saying. You bake the cake, then you bring it out, you put the frosting on. Bring the lasagna out, boom, ready to go. You don't have to do anything to it.
You still have to construct it.
No, it's already baked.
Well, now we're just talking stupid semantics.
No. You construct everything you cook. You construct the cake.
Right.
You construct the lasagna. You bake the lasagna.
Right.
You take it out. It's ready to go.
Which makes it easier to flop it on top of another lasagna that's already done.
But you take the cake out. You got to frost it. So that's why he said.
Well, that's a really dumb reason. You need to rethink that.
Sorry, I read your name. She knew you were a man, and she wasn't going to agree with you.
No, that's just stupid.
This is from Penny. Oh, God. She says 3 important questions. I think we answered some of these. 1, are the lasagnas both made with the same ingredients? If they're different types of lasagna, then there's still 2 lasagnas stacked. Do you agree with that? I asked Brandon that, and that's not part of the email. I added that in to see if one is the sausage lasagna and if one's a ground beef lasagna, is it 2 different lasagnas stacked on top of each other?
Being stuck on the cake as I am, you could have 3 layers that are different.
Oh.
It's still one cake, but you have different flavors.
Right.
So for me, it's still one lasagnas, but one lasagnas. It's still one lasagna. One layer's this, the second layer's that.
Since you don't like the burger example, how about
sorry.
How about pies? You put 2 pies on top of each other. Are they one pie?
No. Right? It's 2 pies stacked on top of each other.
So it's like lasagna.
Yeah, pies are different.
Why?
Pies are final. Are we talking?
Wait,
you gotta make the filling. You gotta make the bottom crust.
I'm sorry. I'm picturing the crust on top.
Right.
Is the crust on top?
The crust on top of a pie?
Right. Are we talking an apple pie with the crust on top? Or are we talking like a pumpkin pie where it's open, or a chocolate cream pie?
What if we do both? We do a pumpkin pie with an apple pie on top of it.
2 pies.
A who?
That's 2 pies. A pumpkin pie with an apple pie on top of it. 2 pies on top of each other. That's 2 pies.
Mm-hmm.
No, now it's one pie with 2 different flavors.
What?
It's an apple pumpkin pie.
Listen, here's my deal. You are stacking them. Logically, it doesn't work. Logically, you're taking one thing and you're stacking it on top of the other. It is now, might be 2 different flavors, but it's now one. It can't be separate. Separate is you kept the lasagna separate. Okay, separate is you kept the burger separate, the pie separate, everything separate in their own dishes. That's separate. The minute you start stacking things, whether you like it or not, now they're one.
Hello, Haley. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if you've got, I say one dish. If you've got, as long as they're the same. If you've got a spinach one and a meat one, those are obviously different lasagnas. You make 2 the same lasagna, put them on the same plate, stacking or not, you've got one lasagna.
See, it doesn't matter male or female with me with the answer. I need. It cannot be separate if they're stacked on top of each other. That's impossible. I mean, if we're gonna say words are important and they matter, it is no longer 2. It is now 1.
The consistency of your argument is the cake example, where you can have a chocolate cake, a vanilla cake, and a chocolate cake stacked on top of each other. That's one cake.
But you don't say, here, I have 3 cakes for you. As you hand them one plate with the cake stacked, here's 3 cakes for you. They're going to go, where's the other 2? Oh, well, they're layered in between each other.
That's one cake. Okay. Hello, Ryan.
Hi.
Hi there.
So my thought is that if you prepare the lasagna and you do not put the cheese on top of one of them in the baking process.
That's not what we're doing.
No, and that doesn't matter.
I know from the email we have 2 completed lasagnas, and I did try this on Dawn earlier. She says it doesn't matter. I was arguing that it did based on one of the arguments in the email, is that when you have the lasagna, you've got that cheesy crust, that crunchy cheesy crust, which completes it. So it's 2 different lasagnas on top of each other, but you do have to play by that rule, Ryan.
Okay. Then I would say that if there is cheese on both, that it is 2 separate lasagnas that are stacked.
Okay.
No, what makes it separate is being separate.
Do
we not know what separate is
really
and together?
Hung up on the stacking thing.
Yeah, because now they're one.
This is from Katie.
Oh, my God.
Katie says, this is bothering me. A burger is a whole item, bun, toppings, patty. If you stacked them, you'd have bread, burger, toppings, bun, burger, toppings, bun.
Right.
By Brandon's logic, every double cheeseburger would be classified as 2 cheeseburgers, even though it's not a double burger. Brandon's wrong.
No, that's not what I said.
That's what Dawn argued, though.
Well, I said that. So what I said is, if you put 2 patties between one bun, one top bun, little bun, you put the 2 patties in between those. That's a double burger. If you put one whole burger,
double burger's one item, though, right?
But
yes,
the Big Mac are those several burgers now?
Yeah.
Because doesn't a Big Mac have...
No, there's several patties.
Yep.
Right, but they're not several
Well, they do have a third bun in there.
There's 3 buns. There's
they do.
2 patties.
Oh.
And therefore, but this is the thing about the Big Mac.
Oh, it is one.
It's all constructed as one because that middle patty is built so that it can be in the middle. It's almost just like a cake where you have that middle layer of a cake and it's one item.
I actually think we're saying the same thing.
It seems like you're getting closer here.
Yeah, I think even from the beginning, it's just that, it's just, I mean, Brandon's a little more, like, smart.
Hello, Frank. Frank?
Frank?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, go
Hi,
ahead.
how's it going?
Great.
Good morning.
Just trying to do a show here.
I was thinking this. Well, so we had lasagna the other day. I took 2 pieces of lasagna and I stacked them on top of each other. And my wife said, "You had 2 pieces of lasagna." I said, "No, I had 1. Look, it's just 1."
Oh.
Right, because it's stacked on top of each other. Now it's one.
That's kind of how I was looking at it. So, I mean, she said I had 1. She said I had 2, but it was like, look, there's only 1 piece of lasagna on my plate, even though they're stacked.
So it's, reverse logic to defend yourself getting fat because you're saying it's still only 1 piece. I understand. Rusty, good morning.
Yes. What was the final intent? Did you prepare 2 lasagnas with the purpose of making 2 lasagnas? Or was your final intent to prepare 2 lasagnas with the purpose of stacking 2 lasagnas to make a double lasagna?
So based on the arguments, let me give it to you this way. You're having a dinner party and you bake 2 separate lasagnas, and then a surprising number of people showed up, and you go, well, here, let's just stack the lasagnas on top of each other. So there was no intent. You just decide to do it in the heat of the moment for whatever reason. Whether there's a number of people in the heat of the moment, you take one lasagna out of the pan and you put it on top of the other lasagna. Have you now created one big lasagna, or do you still have two separate lasagnas?
Yeah, well, my thing is, I had two lasagnas, but my final intent was to stack those two lasagnas to make a double lasagna. So I wanted to make a double lasagna, but my oven wasn't big enough to stack that, so I made two separate. So I guess technically Brandon and Don are right.
They do seem to be getting closer to each other here.
See, in your scenario, when someone goes, it's a dinner party, and now you've stacked them, I can't say to somebody, there's the two lasagnas. Take a slice of whichever one you want.
Back to your cake example, they're going to say there's only one lasagna because it's stacked on top of each other.
But no, there's two. Take a slice of whichever one you want.
Hello there, Randy.
Well, you can't because they're stacked on top of each other because they're one.
If I have two 12-ounce cans beers, I pour them into one glass. Did I have two beers? Because I told my wife I only had one.
That's right. You only had one, my friend.
This is why, from the beginning, man logic is what made me lean towards it's one, because of exactly that. The old argument of it's one glass of wine, even if you pour half the bottle into a big glass.
Yeah, bitches.
We're not the FDA. We're not counting ounces here. Hello there, Matthew. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, anybody. How you guys doing?
Good. What's
Hi.
On the basis of the lasagna, if I'm going to take two separate lasagnas and I'm going to stack them on top of each other, I'm just going to give it a new name. It's not going to be two different lasagnas. It's going to be one lasagna with a new name.
Yeah, here's
my case in point with that is, like, I go to a popular fast food restaurant and I order their chicken sandwich and their regular hamburger, and I mix them together and I give it a whole new name.
And it's one sandwich.
That's one sandwich. Yes.
Okay. A few emails like this one from Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Says, I'm trying to work out and count reps, and all I hear is one cake with layers and one lasagna. Thanks. Now I've done way too many reps, and I want a lasagna cake.
What is the, damn it, what's the sandwich that has turkey, ham, something, the club sandwich or whatever?
Huh?
Yeah, that's one sandwich. It's not a turkey sandwich, a ham sandwich, or whatever else meat you want to put on there.
Right, but now you're using another sandwich example like Brandon was using in the beginning with a hamburger.
But now I get the hamburger. I mean, the hamburger was meh, but I mean, it all works out the same.
Well, but isn't it the club sandwich that you do stack on top of each other, and then you've got full sandwiches, but it's all considered one sandwich. Sandwich with the bread.
Yeah, you do put the breads in
the
between,
big long toothpick.
but it is one sandwich.
It's one sandwich.
Yeah.
Trisha says, I gave up gluten a few weeks ago. You guys are killing me. I want lasagna and cake.
You can make gluten-free ones.
And it'll be awful.
Oh, they've come a long way.
Leslie says when you take them out of the pans and stack them, what you actually have is a huge mess. So, here were the arguments. One of the writers between Julia and her boyfriend, one of them argued, it's one lasagna, and here's my reasons. The final product is one, not two. We covered that. When you serve this huge-ass lasagna, it's one dish. You don't serve this and say, here's my two lasagnas, because you don't have two items. Dawn kind of covered that with the person saying, where's the other one? Number 3, Dawn's example as well. When you bake a multi-layered cake, you bake it in multiple pans, but then assemble it into one cake.
Okay, this must be the girl's argument.
Even if it is a tuxedo cake where half is chocolate and half is vanilla, the final product is one cake. So even if you bake an all-meat lasagna and an all-cheese lasagna, when you put the two together, it becomes one lasagna. That's why I asked Brandon about the different types of lasagna. It's the final product regardless of how it was prepared. That is the person arguing that it is one big lasagna. The person whose reasoning is two separates says, since you bake them separately, it's two different lasagnas. If you were to bake one lasagna on Monday and a second one on Tuesday and then stack them, it's two completely separate products.
Huh? Oh, this is a man. This is the man.
The browned and crispy cheese on top of each lasagna does not happen unless they were two separate lasagnas. Since you would normally only get one layer, you now have two lasagnas.
Right, but he didn't, or they didn't say, are you baking the two together stacked on top of each other? You reach that by first baking them individually, and then you have them come together.
So none of that changed your position that it's one. And Brandon, have you leaned towards it's one?
No,
No?
not really.
Really?
Only because we need to know. I like the intent question. Like, what's the intent behind making these two lasagnas? Are you just making two and you go, hey, let's put these on top of each other?
So in the second argument, the person that's arguing that, I would say maybe yes, because remember, one of the arguments that person made was you bake one on Monday and a second one on Tuesday. It's completely separate products. So if it's just accidental, like I was trying to give my dinner party example, I don't know why you baked one on Monday. Maybe she baked one on Monday. He didn't know it, and on Tuesday morning he baked one and went, oh man, two separate lasagnas. Let's put them on top of each other. Are they still separate lasagnas?
Yes.
I want two households to have. I want two households that are right next. No. I want one household with two tables. I want you to have a dinner party. On one table are two separate lasagnas in their dishes. They could be the same. They could be different. Who cares? They're each in their own dish. The other table has a stacked lasagna. The other one stacked on top of it. And when people come over, and that I want you on both tables, we have 4 lasagnas. People are going to be asking where the other one is. They'll count 3, and they'll wonder, where's the 4th lasagna? Well, it's right there. I guess you got to move it around.
Hello, Eric.
Morning.
Go ahead.
So I feel like the layers of lasagna are infinite. Like if you have enough noodles to make a 4-layer lasagna, you got a 4-layer lasagna. If you have enough noodles to make 7 layers, you make 7 layers. So what's the difference if you make 2 4-layer lasagnas and stack them on top of each other?
Nothing.
You could go crazy with the lasagna. That's
Nothing.
true.
So since Brandon is not backing down from his position, I have to break the tie. And Dawn is correct. It is one item. Because if you
That's
bake
one big lasagna.
If you bake 2 4-layer lasagnas and you put them on top of each other, you just have an 8-layer lasagna.
Sam, could you imagine?
Even if it's different flavors.
But the top of the lasagnas, the separate lasagnas, indicate that they're 2 separate lasagnas.
Do you know what, though? I'm thinking that'd be pretty good, though, wouldn't
Right.
it? That crunchy and hadn't it some
yes.
crunchy
The
in
crunchy,
between?
the crunchy top argument is what initially made me go, it's 2 separate ones, but then I thought about it and went, exactly that.
Oh, that'd be good.
I might do that the next time I make lasagna.
Look, I'm holding my position just for the sake of being an excellent master debater.
As you are.
But everybody wins in this case. I mean, come on.
For those of you that must know, it was the woman who said it is one lasagna. And I must say, the boyfriend's argument of baking one on Monday and one on Tuesday is where I went, you're out of this, dude. You've lost.
He's not one that spends much time in the kitchen.
Julia also had a PS for us that said it was my birthday on Tuesday. And while listening to the show on my way to work, I got so excited when you were reading the birthday shout-outs, but was highly disappointed with this boyfriend of mine because he never emailed you. Or, because I can't confirm this, we get so many of them, given his arguing points on the lasagna, it could be he wrote a birthday wish that was terrible and I just didn't choose to read it on the air.
No.
Check his sent file.